So, I mean, should we rethink our culture? Like, how do we rebalance that?
Good
It's
question.
all right. I
Uh,
mean, it's an
it's
easy like quip. Like,
yeah,
Nancy, just change our entire culture.
yeah. No, it's called be responsible.
hmm
Yeah, food is not optional. Sleep is not optional.
hmm
They need to be priority in terms of self-care and making sure that you carry with you, a baggie of nuts so you
hmm
don't get sidetracked into, uh, um, the convenience store.
hmm
Um, it's setting aside time to eat. And people say, oh, I just worked through lunch. Well, you can still work through lunch, but just have your sandwich that you brought with you so that you can still eat while you're working. So again, it's problem solving.
hmm
It's how to get people to eat closer to the earth, more natural foods on a regular schedule, eat during the daylight hours, which is when their circadian rhythms are designed to be fed, and have an appropriate amount of exercise because the body likes to move,
hmm
and enjoy the benefits of that. And when people eat well, they feel so much better.
hmm
And when you feel better, you also feel better about yourself and you tend to perform better.
hmm
So it's a process, but that's where my sports nutrition guidebook, I should say, I tried to make it simple.
hmm
Like this is what you can do. These are the options, and take away the complexities of it.
hmm this is actually something that here in my house we're going through at the moment, trying to like eat more at home, and we have we're in the fortunate position where it's like we're able to eat out fairly often, and we did, but I also noticed just almost like a degradation of kind of my daily energy and how I felt because I have a fairly high athletic workload. It's not as high as it used to be, but I'll still work out 10 to 12 hours a week. So, putting up fairly high demand on myself. I did see, um, I can't remember who, so I can't attribute this to a particular person, but some kind of health blogger mentioned this philosophy about you can eat whatever you want, but you have to make it. I want to know if you have any thoughts on
Well, it's ideally yes. Realistically, think again.
that.
um, Again, there's not a good food or a bad food. There's
hmm
a balanced diet and an unbalanced diet. Does
hmm
every single food that you eat need to be homemade? No. But is the trend toward primarily homemade? Sure. And you can do that, you know, pretty easily once you get organized. So food is really, it's a management issue more than
hmm
a food issue. And athletes tend to be good at managing. I mean, they manage to train every day. Like I say, you manage to get in your 12 to 14 hours a week. That's a management issue.
hmm
And so with food, the same thing. Food is a management issue. How do you manage to have the right food in the right place at the right time?
hmm
The majority of the times. And I look for a diet that's, 85 to 90% quality foods, 10 to 15% whatever, because you don't have to have this perfect diet to have an excellent diet.
hmm
And this whole clean eating movement is like demonizing a cookie or a cupcake. And like,
Uh-huh.
is it really bad to eat a birthday cupcake? And, I think birthday cake is very healthy, actually. Um, and people aren't eating out of the same pot. There's something really nice when everybody eats out of the same pot. Well,
hmm
first you have to cook that pot,
hmm
um, and that's a planning issue. Planning
Yeah.
to food shop, planning time to prepare the meals, planning time to sit down together and enjoy the meals.
hmm I think you address this a fair number of times in the book. It seemed like as I went through, you often mentioned people saying, "I'm too busy to
Yeah.
do whatever it is." Personally, it seems like when we say I'm too busy, it's a matter of I'm not prioritizing whatever it is you're asking me to do.
Hmm. Hmm.
So what is there like what do you think is going on with people when they say I'm too busy, or with your clients when they give that excuse to you? Is there any common thread that or reason that they're saying I'm too busy?
Yeah, because it's not a priority. And if you're
Hmm.
too busy to eat, then you save calories and then you'll lose weight and then you'll be thinner and then you'll be a better athlete. It goes down that rabbit hole. And
Uh-huh.
it's like, no, if you skip a meal, you'll be low on energy, you'll get too hungry, and then you'll binge eat on the whole bag of Oreos, um, and end up gaining weight.
Hmm.
So, um, too busy is a story. And if it's amazing the number of people that never forget to exercise, but they always forget to eat. It's like, oh, I forgot to eat. Well, did you forget to train? Or they've
Hmm.
always got time to train, but they don't have time to eat. It's
Hmm.
like, no, you can train 5 minutes less and find time to eat. Um, so it's looking at people's stories and excuses and problem solving with them. I mean, so
Hmm.
what I do is problem solving. You know, how can you lose weight and have energy to exercise? How can you perform better? How can you manage to have the right food in the right place at the right time? And we just sort of work through this. And so people leave with, this is what I can do, and they feel empowered.
Hmm.
And that's the goal of my sports nutrition guidebook, to empower people to better manage the American food supply.
Hmm. So when you started out, when you know were going back as you're getting your degree before you really kind of get into your whole career, how did you anticipate being essentially a psychologist for people?
No, not at all. Was not on my radar screen.
Yeah, but it seems like often when we get into these kind of like sticky, I'll call them like sticky cultural issues, like eating, where it's like we all need to eat, but then there becomes all this confusion that it ends up becoming more of a psychological job, like you mentioned earlier, like
Mhm.
trying to get people to get their mental strategies together versus, you know, eat carrots instead of, a cookie for your snack or whatever it is. It's this like figuring out the weird psychology that's going on that's gotten people into this like odd hole that they have to get out of.
Well, it comes down to cost benefit.
Hmm.
When people eat better, they feel better. And that's a real nice benefit. And they need to eat yummy, healthy, nutrient rich foods that they enjoy. And like for me, that's peanut butter. I mean, I live on peanut butter and banana, peanut butter
Hmm.
sandwiches, peanut butter in my oatmeal. It's yummy, it's healthy,
Hmm.
and I enjoy eating it. So it is a food of choice, not a duty. And,
Hmm.
and other people love hummus or they love, rice and beans or whatever. So that it's really finding, a menu of yummy, healthy foods that you totally enjoy that make you feel good, and then you
Hmm.
want to eat them. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
And the recipes in my sports nutrition guidebook are based on yummy, healthy family foods that you enjoy eating.
Yeah, and I loved that once I got to the end because like I said, I went cover to cover. I didn't jump around. I got to the end and saw the recipes and I was like, thank you, Nancy, because like it's so easy to say, okay, eat this kind of food or that kind of food, but it makes it I think it bridges the gap a little bit to go, okay, here's, the vast majority of the guidebook where it says these are your strategies. And then without the recipes, people will go, well, now what?
Mhm.
But then the recipes can help bridge the gap between, okay, let's start here and, employ these with, Nancy strategies. And then let's start branching out into our own recipes. So I'm just as a consumer, I appreciate that you included recipes at the end.
Well, make sure you eat the banana bread.
That should not be a problem.
Yeah, it's really popular. It goes great with peanut butter too.
I'm a peanut butter fiend, so that both of those things Absolutely not a problem. Um, I do want to ask you a little bit about kind of specific diets now before we go. You do talk about a little bit about vegetarian athletes, and I'm sure you've heard people joke about like vegetarians are pale and sickly and these kind of things. I don't think that's necessarily the case, and I think you make the case for vegetarian athletes being a perfectly legitimate diet. For the vegetarians that aren't like that do kind of play into that stereotype, where are they going wrong, do you think?
Well, there are vegetarians that live on potato chips and Skittles, and there
Mm-hmm.
are vegetarians that live on hummus and stir fried tofu and lots of vegetables or whatever. So there are vegetarians that are responsible in truly eating a balanced diet, and those that are just living on apples or bananas. I mean, I've seen many a high school kid who claims to be vegetarian, and they've just knocked out the meat, and so that they haven't replaced it with beans. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe they're not eating beef, but they're not eating beans either. And yes, their diet is plant based, but it's very unbalanced.
Mm-hmm.
And so the trick is when you knock off the beef, you got to replace it with beans and nuts and lentils and tofu and um, other plant sources of protein so that your body gets the nutrients it needs. So yes, vegetarians and vegans can be very healthy if they're responsible. And it's a lifestyle. I mean, it's a lot easier now to eat a plant-based diet than it used to be. I mean, you can go to Burger King and get an Impossible Whopper.
Mm-hmm.
And is that our version of vegetarian diet? I mean, so it um, there are options, and my job is to teach people how to get the protein that they need if they choose not to eat animal products.
Mm-hmm. I haven't looked into it a ton. Have you seen, so with the Impossible Burgers, I know I've been seeing advertisements ad nauseum for them. Do you know much about them, what's in them, or have any opinion on them?
Yeah, I mean they're both the Beyond Burger and the Impossible Burger. They're one is made with a soy base and another is made more with a rice and pea protein base. I mean, they're ultra processed foods. They taste like burgers.
Mm-hmm.
And some vegetarians like, ugh, why would I want to eat a burger? Like it just doesn't appeal to them.
Mm-hmm.
And others who think, oh, I should be vegetarian, but I miss my burgers. For them, it's like an easy option to eat more plant protein. But they are ultra processed. They aren't a natural food. They do have saturated fat in it from coconut. They're more expensive. I don't know. It's not a right or a wrong
Mm-hmm.
to any of this. It's looking at your whole diet and what kind of food you want to put in your body. And I tend to think that more natural foods, there's a lot of thing in food that we don't know about, and they have a
Mm-hmm.
synergistic effect. So when you buy an ultra processed food, are you missing out on compounds that are health protective that we don't even know about? I mean, just an interesting example is that if you have just the egg white as opposed to the whole egg, um, the same grams of protein from egg white versus whole eggs
Mm-hmm.
is 40% less. Um, that the muscles have 40% less muscle protein synthesis.
Okay.
So you we look at the food matrix,
Mm-hmm.
and it's important to look at the all natural matrix that really works to protect our health.
Mm-hmm.
And is that matrix in ultra processed foods?
So I know when I'm shopping for like protein powder, which is obviously processed. I know that you can look up um, the data on how bioavailable different types of protein are supposed to be.
Mhm.
So you're talking about the synergy between basically the egg yolk and the egg white. Is there anywhere like a layman can find that kind of information? or is there even a resource for that at all?
Well, you can Google protein quality,
Hmm.
and you'll find information. PDCAS is sort of like a term that might float around, and I can't remember what it stands for. But yeah, just Google protein quality, and you'll get some information there.
Okay. It's one of those things again, which is why it's nice to talk to you, since you've gone through and filtered all of these things already. Um, but just because there is so much information, it's always a matter of what do I listen to? How do I find the right thing? How do I filter out the BS from the reality?
Mhm.
On my own when I don't have Nancy here to like to clarify.
Well, that's where you got my book.
Right, right, which you can always go back to. Um,
But
Nancy,
that
this is a
said, there's a whole network of sports dietitians around the
mhm,
country. There's more than 7,000 of us. And so you um, want to meet with someone who's a registered dietitian and is certified specialist in sports dietitian. That dietetics CSSD is after the name, so RDCSSD. And so Google RDCSSD in your hometown or whatever and see who comes up. And that's the person that you want to work with that will help you get a sane approach to food. Um, and so that you can enjoy food
mhm,
and not feel as though eating is cheating, because eating is not cheating. Eating should be one of life's pleasures. And better yet, be able to enhance your performance. I mean, the impact of food on performance is huge. I mean, many people think that performance starts with training. It actually starts with eating.
mhm, mhm. And that's the thing I think is a common theme. Like, and you mentioned this at the very beginning that food is fuel, not a punishment.
Mhm.
Yeah. Um, this is a question I've been asking everybody this whole year, or what I'm referring to as season one, but it's especially pertinent for you. I like to ask people if you only get to choose one food for recovery, so this is like a post workout kind of food, you only get to choose one food for recovery for the rest of your life, what do you end up choosing?
Oh, I'd choose chocolate milk.
Okay.
It's yummy. It's the right balance of carbs and protein. The milk is really high quality, nutrient dense,
Mm,
life sustaining fluid. And the chocolate is yummy and it's one of life's pleasures. And it's also health protective. People say, oh, but there's sugar in it. But all foods, all fruits, vegetables, grains break down to sugars. And as an athlete, that's what your muscles need for fuel.
mm-hmm,
So, again, the athletic body can tolerate sugar far differently than the unfit person. So, speaking as an athletic person, that would be my choice.
that's fair. I'll chalk another one up for chocolate milk. I actually spoke to Dr. Jason Karp early on, episode 4, who's one of the authors of the chocolate milk study. So he was the first one to notch the the chocolate milk as a recovery food. Nancy, if people want to work with you, find you, get your book, where can they find you? Where can they pick up a copy of your book?
Well, they can find me on my website, which is nancyclarkrd.com, NANCYCLARKRD.com. They can follow me on Twitter or Facebook at nclarkrd. Um, and they can shoot me an email through my website. There's a place called Contact Nancy, and they send me an email, and I might even answer it.
And what's the best place to get your book?
Um, of course, it's on Amazon.com. It's on my website. It's probably in bookstores. I mean, it's been a popular book.
Yeah,
At your local library. So you don't even have to buy it. You can go to the library, and
it's always a
it's
great
I say
option.
it's a handy resource. So you'll probably want to just
Have your own copy.
keep it in your kitchen.
Start making notes in the margins. Pay attention to this. Thanks so much for coming on today, Nancy. It was a real pleasure to talk to you.
Well, this is my pleasure, Jesse. Thanks for inviting me.
Take care.